Hey guys, it's Friday morning. Welcome back to the Lovin Dubai show. Today's guest is Mouna, a content creator, traveler, and a go-to expert on personal branding. She's built a name for herself between Dubai and London, sharing everything from lifestyle tips to social media hacks. Welcome, Mouna, to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
And you're fasting, so you're in here bright and early.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. How is that going for you?
Actually, fasting's going well for me. Obviously at night when I'm ready to eat, I'm most excited, but I'm having a good time.
You look so fresh.
Yeah, because you know what? Honestly, it's a diet thing. I've actually been sharing my diet and I wake up in the morning ready to go. Whereas last year I was just eating junk the whole time and it was difficult fast, so it makes a difference.
I'll not pretend to be able to empathize at all. I won't. However, I have tried fasting once or twice before an iftar.
How was it?
Really hard. So what is your hack? What is your diet hack to give me energy?
The biggest thing is eat your protein and fiber, and then if you want a sweet treat, have it after. I think people start off with fried foods. Sorry, I'm fasting. People start off with fried foods, and then that drags them down. So just those small differences.
So no 30 dirham popcorn, not for Ramadan.
Not for Ramadan, but generally yes.
Okay, let's get to know you a little bit more. So you've been in Dubai a couple of years. Why did you decide to move here?
I honestly moved here because I was kind of changing my career. I was a lawyer back home, which a lot of people don't know about me.
Wow.
And so I was I'm working freelancing on the side in social media and I want to make it my full-time thing. And I just didn't feel it in London. And I just had this feeling that I had to be in Dubai. And so I moved.
Wow. So you gave up being a lawyer?
Yeah, being a lawyer, yeah. That was a big deal, by the way, because I come from an Arab family, which, they love the idea of me being a lawyer. But that was just never for me. And I'm also a very creative person. And probably you can see from my socials, very sporadic. I like to do things on a whim. And I felt like as a lawyer, I was a bit more constrained. So, yeah.
It's so interesting because I feel like so many people want to take that jump. And a lot of people have gone down that traditional route. So what was your family's initial reaction? And now that you've got 1 million likes on TikTok, how do they respond now?
Well, the first thing that they saw was I was actually grinding very hard. So when I first came here, they were okay, you know what, she's working a lot. They were a bit worried for me, in fact. But in my mind, I was if I do this now, I will change my life forever. So then when I was working on my agency, my marketing agency, I was okay, once I do this, I'll be able to chill after. Now I'm more chilled. I'm I can be creative online, which is more my personality showing off,
So what was that journey? So, you've only started posting for yourself publicly a lot in the last couple of months, really. So what have you been doing the last 4 years? You started an agency?
Yeah, so personal branding agency. Mm-hmm. So essentially, when I was in the UK, I was working for lawyers on their LinkedIn accounts. And I was building their LinkedIn accounts. And I was I can do this full time. So many people need this because you get a lot of leads through LinkedIn. And people like to make money, So I ended up niching in that. As soon as I niched, my agency popped off. So it was kind of the ideal. I always tell people, niche as soon as you can in whatever you're doing in life, because that's when things will start to develop. People will be attracted to you.
So interesting. And moving to Dubai, I feel I hope this is going to be helpful for people who want to take that leap. So people say it's a difficult city to make friends in. What has that been like for you?
I didn't have that difficulty, but I've always put myself out there. So for example, one of the first things I did when I moved here was literally a TikTok that said, does anyone want to meet on the beach and have a picnic? And so 20 girls came and we all met on the beach and we just had a picnic. And some of them are still my closest friends. And that was in the first 2 months of moving here. So that's how I've always been out there. I couldn't imagine myself in that lawyer office, that shift.
Would you have done that in London?
No.
So why Dubai?
It's a different energy here. I'm sure you understand where I'm coming from, where everybody wants to meet new people, create real relationships, create real friendships, especially because it can get really lonely here. A lot of people will find that. But if you put yourself out there, I think you'll have that shift. For example, I started doing those Moroccan parties because I wanted to start meeting more Arab girls who like to dance, but just women only. They have similar values to me because I don't go clubbing. Right. So I started those parties and then eventually it ended up being, once I host the party, one of the ladies that are coming, they can show off their business. And so it kind of creates a community where it's that's your very first business community.
That's amazing. So, are you still friends with those girls? And
yeah, we have two huge groups, and we're gonna hang out soon, inshallah, in Ramadan. So it should be cool.
I feel about the Dubai energy. Of course, I know what you mean. So how would you, I guess, compare, maybe if we jump into influencing or brand building or the creative part of it, how would you compare that life in comparison to London?
I think one of the biggest things is that because everybody's so keen to build their business here, there tends to be a lot of fresh businesses, fresh people, fresh minds. People want to learn how to be a content creator, influencer, freelancer, etc. Sorry, what was your question?
How would
Sorry,
you? I guess no. Well, I've kind of jumped into. So how would you compare building your kind of brand agency, your freelancing in London versus building it in Dubai?
So I do have a few people in London that I work with. But I find that here people are more eager to grow faster. They're very active. They want to throw things at me so that I can work with them, which is a huge shift because in London I find that people are like still groggily getting along. You know, they're kind of like, oh, we'll reply to her email in 10 days, but then we don't get the results, you know? Whereas here they're looking for results ASAP. So it is a huge shift. It's a good and bad thing, obviously. Like, there's perks of both sides. Yeah.
And so you said that you would do your agency and then you'd be able to slow down and be more creative. And obviously, it feels like, judging from your social media, the creativity is coming on in leaps and bounds. So when did you, I guess, start posting about your own life? And what was that? Was it nervous?
I was nerve-wracked. I honestly, at the beginning, what I did was everything that I would put in my private story would suddenly start going, you know, onto my real stories. And then everything that I would put for just my friends only on TikTok, suddenly I'd be like, you know what, maybe I'll just post this to everyone, just see how it goes. And eventually it started to blow up more and more. And I think I've got more of a quirky online personality and I like to show that. And at first I was very nervous to show that, but now I've just got used to it. It doesn't matter to me anymore.
What do you think is like the key to blowing up on TikTok?
Relatability, I think, and also like being yourself, because I see a lot of people doing the same thing all the time. But when you have like something a bit more unique about yourself, people are more drawn in.
So if relatability is like the thing that people should do most of, what are people doing wrong? Like, you know, there's a competitive scene here. And not everyone is making it. So where are people going wrong?
I genuinely believe it's because they're seeing what other people are doing and copying it to the T, where then they could copy it in a way that suits them and they could start having their own niche. Like I said before, your niche is super important. I technically don't have an online personality niche. It's more just the fact that maybe I have a bit more of a quirky personality, for example. But I do think that once people start taking those ideas and like relating it to themselves, it starts to blow a bit more.
You know what's interesting is if you look at Mouna's profile, you've been to some very cool events recently. You've been to Benefit, Cosmo. There'd probably be a long list. If I'm a beauty, if I want to be a beauty influencer in Dubai, how do you get onto those invite lists? Like, what is the secret?
I feel like that's the question I always have. Like, how do you get invited to these events?
Right.
Honestly, firstly, it's networking. Bear in mind, like, I actually post a lot about what I do on LinkedIn. Obviously, I'm a LinkedIn person. So I post a lot about what I do and the events I go to, and that attracts other people. There is a kind of hierarchy that people put you in their mind. When they see you go to one thing, they start to think, oh, maybe we're invited to this thing.
Yeah,
you know, it is a bit of a hierarchy game, unfortunately. But I think that's why you need to be more open to showing off yourself and the things that you've achieved online.
And what are the goodie bags like?
Oh, the goodie bags are great. I got a Sephora one the other day. Shout out Sephora. Amazing.
Interesting.
Yeah. I might have to, I'll let you have a look.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You mentioned you're a LinkedIn person, but you're also a TikTok person. Great. What is your thoughts on, like, where do you think people can do the best brand building and make the best career from social media right now?
If we're talking you have your own business, please go to LinkedIn. Please, please. You know, like, LinkedIn is an absolute gold mine because you have to remember that people are not really on Instagram and TikTok looking to build a business network. You know, they're there to be entertained. So you need to think, where do I place myself correctly? And then on the flip, if you want to be a content creator and you want to start creating content that aligns with yourself, obviously shift that to TikTok if you can.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
One video that was on your Instagram account was your wedding. And, well, the wedding was absolutely stunning, but the video that caught my attention was you said the venue cancelled on me 3 weeks in advance.
Yeah. And actually, I ended up having my wedding at the same venue, just somewhere else in the venue. So essentially, what happened was there was this huge concert happening here. It's from a very well-known DJ. I can't say his name, but you probably know him because he highlights Tomorrowland. And he ended up being in the city, the other city in the Emirates, that I was having my wedding in. And so essentially, he had to build his whole stage, and that would interrupt where my wedding is. So they can't take it down. It took them a month to take it down. So my wedding is in that month. So I essentially had to have my wedding in a different part of the hotel where they built these huge villas. So they let me have a wedding in the villa. But bear in mind, this villa was so expensive. So I was quite lucky, actually. I ended up getting the wedding at a discount, technically. So it worked out well for me.
But 3 weeks out?
I was breaking it. I was like, what am I going to do with my life? I don't know what to do.
And how many people did you have coming in?
We had, I think, 60 people from the UK or from across the world coming in. But generally, we actually had quite a small wedding in the end. So I'm happy with that.
This is like I had a civil ceremony recently, and the person doing the bouquet cancelled the night before, and I thought that was major. So I can only imagine.
Can you imagine the whole wedding? Yeah. And that shifts everything. It shifts like where the flowers go, the catering, everything changes because you'd have to find a whole new venue. So we were quite lucky that they had those villas.
Looking back on the wedding now, it was so stunning. What was kind of like the top moment for you? I wish we had a video of it so you could see it, by the way, because it was like the hotel and the villa looked like sensational.
It was insane. Like the villa like topped the first venue actually, so I was very happy with that. I think my walking down the aisle, because I'm actually Arab, but my husband is English, so that was like one of his traditions. He was really excited to do it, so that was my favorite moment.
I love when I see weddings here and how they bring cultures together. What part of, I guess, your Moroccan heritage was your favorite part to showcase at the wedding?
Honestly, like we split the wedding in half, where it was like the first part was like a reception, like aisle situation, and the second half was like a huge Moroccan party. So that's where I got my Moroccan party idea from, actually. After I had my wedding, I was like, I can do this for other people and they'd love it. And they do. Like the parties sell out in a few days because people love that kind of thing where it's just like women only, dancing, having fun without any like alcohol there, which is obviously new to the region a little bit, you know.
So how do you, we'll move back to the Moroccan parties, like if people want to go, can they attend? It's like a business networking event, it's a friendship event.
It's kind of like a friendship, business networking event. Like I kind of mix the two things together. If you want to go, it's just in the link in my bio. Like a plug.
No, but like I think it's a really interesting thing, and I feel like you're kind of hustling in a lot of ways, and it's really, really cool. If people watching today want to jump from 0 to 1 million on social media, how do they do it?
Let me get to 1 million first. I'm kidding. I think the biggest thing is also volume. So as soon as you figure out what your personality and niche is, you want to figure out how you can do that specific thing in volume. So for example, if there's something that's really working, how can you double down? How can you do it again? How can you do it in a different way? Can you incorporate other people? So
I love this. Relatability, volume, find your niche. So many gems from Mouna this morning. Mouna, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
If people want to attend the parties, where is that link in bio? How can they find it?
Oh yeah, so it's Mouna on Instagram and TikTok. So YA.Mouna.
And also check out our Instagram and TikTok to see the amazing wedding. Thank you so much for joining us. That is the end of the Lovin Dubai show. We're back with you every single weekday morning. It's the weekend. Have a beautiful day. We'll see you back here on Monday. Bye-bye.